Okay, let's watch this. It's still here. Lord reference got crazier. I'm pretty sure this is a second video that he made because he had a lot of um what is it called? A lot of um references. So let's see what Blood is talking
You
about.
want to prove that the Still Here cinematic is the best cinematic ride ever released? It's going to be a week and people are still talking about it. People are still watching it and they are still finding more details. And things are getting so cool that some of the things which people previously ignored because we honestly thought that Riot just forgot about it, that's to keep on with the rule of cool. If things look badass, it is better than the integrity of a story. Well, it turns out Riot did not forget. And all the parts with Kindred got a whole another awesome layer. So today, let's talk about what the community found, and let's talk about how all the lore references are getting crazier. Now first things first, if you are wondering just how much better is the Still Here cinematic over all the other cinematics, well, according to the charts, Still Here has the fastest growing views out of all videos Riot ever released. And that includes all the views on KDA too. In fact, within the first 24 hours, KDA More was first with 12 million views, Warriors was second with 10 million, but now Still Here left them in the dust with 22
What the
million
fuck?
views.
Oh
And
damn.
as of right now, 3 days after coming out, it is currently sitting at 80 million views. So rest
85.
assured, this cinematic is going places. But now, let's dive into all the things that came out around it. The first piece of new info we got actually came from League's social media. There they released a video where they quickly covered all the cinematics references to League in-game. Meaning they simply mentioned all of the champions' abilities which you could see in the cinematic. But one of their examples stood out and it left a lot of people confused. So first they showed us that Morgana used Soul Shackles, which is her ultimate. Now, in my first video, I did mention that it reminds me of her
RQ.
Q because
Yep.
it's binding Aatrox to the ground, but sure, I'll admit she's channeling it, so it's more like her ultimate. Regardless,
Oh yeah,
Morgana was
true.
always about her chains, so it's not like it really matters. Next, Gale uses Divine Ascent, which, as I mentioned, is her passive. Then Yasuo uses his Wind Wall, which, as I explained, is actually very important for the entire story of this cinematic, especially in relation to how the cinematic ends. After which they confirmed that here Yasuo is using Sweeping Blade. That's the ability where he's dashing through people. Now, to be honest, I still don't know how much I want to credit Yasuo just running to an ability in game, but alright, that ability is about dashing through people, which is exactly what he did here. Just know that in this video they specifically cut it before Yasuo starts cutting through his enemies with the wind. Because I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be part of the ability because there he's just doing totally different thing. Anyway, I explained it in the last video.
Yeah,
Then, of
okay.
course, he's using his Steel Tempest, specifically the third hit with the Tornado. And
And the
then
third
there is
Q.
the one that confused a lot of people. Because here you can see Kindred's arrow coming in for Yasuo, and Riot calls it Hawkeye, which comes from Ashe. Outrageous, right? Now, all of you just didn't pay attention. See, even though this clip is showing you this arrow from this scene,
They're
it's
talking
not
about the
actually
next
pointing
one.
at this scene. It is cut in a way so you can see the beginning of the next scene. Because right after this arrow lands, it reveals Trindamir's scene. And I really mean it is very subtle, but right above the area where Trindamir
Right there.
is,
Yep.
you
It
can
pops.
actually see the reveal VFX from Ashe's Hawkeye. Like, that is the actual effect from the Hawkshot ability. Which probably explains that's how Ashe found Trindamir in the first place. She used that ability to track him down. The fact that the scene before this one also has an arrow might be a coincidence, but it also might be planned out. Again, the details
It's
in the
probably
cinematic
Kindred.
are totally
I mean,
crazy,
you
so
have Wolf
maybe
right
it was
there.
all
Right
on
there.
purpose. Next, it's showing us that the wolf is using the wolf's frenzy, which I mean, sure, he's just jumping and biting. Then, of course, Trindamir is using Undying Rage. That was pretty obvious. But he is also using the Spinning Slash. This is something I almost missed in the first video, and if you go back, you can see that I had to add in a note because I only noticed this while I was editing it. But yes, in this scene, Tryndamere is in fact spinning. Then of course we get Volley from Ashe, which was heavily nerfed because she only fires 2 arrows, and she got one more Hawkshot to end this cinematic. Which is pretty funny because Hawkshot has 2 charges and she used both. Maybe
Oh
that's
yeah,
also not a coincidence.
true.
Now, besides this video, jumping into some more details, Riot also put the foreseen Yasuo skin onto PBE, where the skin got its own lore description. And it reads, Yasuo glimpsed many paths in his dreams. One saw him as an old man alone, having strayed far from his course. He had given up ambition, family, even love, all to atone for his
Love.
sins, which he could.
Is that is that talking about Ari? Maybe because in the cinematic that we had for him with Jone, at the end he was with Ari going for. Okay, wait. He was with Ari going um to the pirate zone. I don't remember. Piltow? No. Piltover and Son. No. Water? Is that something like that? I don't remember.
Could no longer remember.
So,
This vision was not a warning,
and in the
but a
game
reminder.
made by Riot Forge, I'm pretty sure Ari and Yasuo had something in there. So
Yasuo
interesting.
knew he could always return to his path. He only needed to find it, or let it find him. So yes, in the
Ooh,
end,
okay.
this scene was just a vision. Which is a shame. I really hoped Riot would double down on this one. Olaf would deserve it. But it's interesting to see that it says that he had given up on his ambition, family, even love. If the Ruined King taught us anything, he does have love in his life. Though he did decide to go somewhere else towards Noxus to find his destiny, and maybe that's why he's confused now. His story ended in a place where everyone believed that he would be looking for Riven. But then during the Sentinels of Light, Riven was freed from the Noxian prison, and you know what? I don't really know what's happening. What I do know is that this is a vision, and we still don't really know what Yasuo is doing right now.
1 second. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue.
It's just that if Yasuo decides to just give up on everything he had ever done, he would not end up in a happy place. Speaking of which, this is perhaps where the coolest new detail arose. You see, as people dug deeper and deeper into all the storylines surrounding Kindred, they realized that all of their previous lore still lines up here. And it all goes back to that one final scene. Now, the first thing some people pointed out here is that there is no way that this is an arrow from the Lamb. As you could clearly see, Lamb has clean arrows without an arrowhead, which is true.
Wait,
That's
yeah.
why this arrow
That makes sense.
represents the arrow from the Lamb. Because that's
What?
the arrow that delivered the kill. In a way, that's how Kindred claimed him. Remember that the lamb and the wolf are not really there as part of the physical world. It's not like the lamb was actually standing there in the army just waiting with her shot. Not to mention they would have to be some kind of Santa Claus to really deliver every kill on everyone who ever dies. I have no idea if this explanation makes any sense to you, but a lot of how the lamb and the wolf work comes from the mind of the one who's dying. So in short, yes,
Oh,
the arrow still represents
I
the
see.
arrow of death that came from the lamb, even though it is physically an arrow that came from the bandits. In fact, it is this
It's a representation, I
detail
guess.
that revealed some cool
Huh.
references. And honestly, it is something I didn't mention at first because I didn't believe Riot was really paying attention to it. But especially after watching the Tryndamere fight for the 8th time now, it all makes so much more sense now. You see, the lamb and the wolf work as a pair, and they each claim a different kind of souls. The lamb is the one who takes lives peacefully. Whenever someone dies and they are ready to just pass into the afterlife, the lamb is the one who delivers the final blow with a swift arrow. But in case someone refuses to die and they want to fight till the last moment, the wolf steps in and he gives them the fight they were looking for. That's
That's cool.
why, even in the in game quotes, the wolf always wants everyone to run away from the lamb. He wants them to not want to die, because that way he gets to chase them.
Peacefully they go.
Hungry we follow.
Wolf chases what does not willingly go.
As a fun fact, for
Ah.
example, in Noxus, they don't really believe in the lamb. To them, death is just the wolf. Because
Oh
Noxians
wow.
always fight till their last breath, and so the lamb
Fucking giga
rarely gets
chats.
anything to do. So going back to the Yasuo scene, this cinematic specifically highlights that the arrow is the one that delivered the kill. And
So
it
the lamb.
visually hints that it is the arrow of the lamb.
Mhm.
Because in this scene,
He's dying
Yasuo
peacefully.
accepted the
Yeah.
peaceful death. That's why he closed his eyes and accepted it all. Which is also why seeing the wolf in the distance gets so much more meaning. The reason why we can see the wolf in the distance, seemingly not doing anything, while Lamb claims the kill, is because the wolf is watching and patiently waiting to see if Yasuo decides to fight. Because should Yasuo keep fighting here, the wolf would get a chance to step in. That's the real choice Yasuo made in this scene. We all know that he had the ability to keep going here. The cinematic specifically showed us that he could use the wind wall to save himself here. But instead of letting the wolf chase him, he decided to embrace the lamb. It is insane to see just how much of this was portrayed by a single glowing arrow in the sky. Now, what's cool is that a similar thing also happened in Trindamir's fight. Around the internet, I saw a lot of people talking about the fact that the wolf did all the fighting, and the lamb didn't do much to take him down. But in reality, that was absolutely on purpose. From the moment Trindamir stood up, he was presented with a choice. Would he go down peacefully or would he fight the wolf? That is why the first one he saw was the
Was the
lamb,
lamb. Oh
who
yeah.
acted as the one to present this choice. But of course, this was likely not the first time they fought. In fact, looking back, it is impossible for this to be their first fight. Logically, Trindamir had to fight them at least once in the past. That would be the moment Aatrox killed him and infused him with the blood magic. That's also why, in this cinematic, the wolf didn't hesitate to jump in. To them, it was obvious what would happen next. But now you may be asking, well, if it was the wolf's job to take Trindamir down, why did the lamb shoot arrows at all? The reason is in fact very simple. Every time the lamb shot an arrow, it was to check if Trindamir would accept the peaceful death. That's why, if you go through the entire fight, you'll see that the lamb doesn't rapidly fire off all the time. She shoots once and then she watches from a distance for a while as the fight with the wolf keeps going. To her, this wasn't a fight after all. She didn't have a reason to keep firing. She only did it occasionally to see if Trindamir made up his mind. And in fact, she only shot 2 arrows before Trindamir successfully fought him off. And every time he parried one of the lamb's arrows, he did it with the ferocity of a warrior, really denying that peaceful kill. So yes, as it turns out, even the way they fought in this cinematic had much deeper lore. And now, all of this ties into one single thing that popped off on Reddit. There was a lot of talking about Kindred tilting her head. I absolutely love this one.
That has
because it
a
could
meaning. Are
have
you
many
kidding me?
different meanings. And
What
as
the
they
fuck?
said in this post, it could be confusion. Why is he not dead yet? Mockery. You really thought that would work? Challenging. Oh, so you really want to fight? Curiosity. Let's see where this goes then. Recognition. This guy is kinda good to be honest. Surprise. Yo, what the hell you doing, bro? Indifference. Okay, sure. Do your thing. Patience. I'm busy tonight. Please die. Now, given all the context we have now, I do believe the real purpose here is curiosity. Because here they are, presented with a man who refused both the peaceful arrow of the lamb and the ferocious bite of the wolf. Because despite the wolf really trying, he can fight them off. Which is not something Kindred get to see too often. And so, yeah, that's all the new details that popped off in the last the 3 days after the cinematic came out. Yeah, as I mentioned, this cinematic is going places.
Oh
I
yeah.
love how around the internet there were a lot of people who didn't really like this cinematic because
What?
apparently it didn't have as much lore as some of the previous ones, like the
Lol.
ball. In the meantime, this one has more lore than all of the previous ones combined.
Combined.
But yeah,
Yeah.
now I'm curious what else people are gonna notice in this one. As of right now, there are 80 million views on this cinematic. And I wonder
Jesus.
how much of this is just
There's
people who keep watching it
105 right
over
now,
and
I'm pretty
over again.
sure.
For
Million
context,
views.
Brink of Infinity has 3 million. And I'm pretty sure most people didn't even finish watching it once.
True. Okay. That was nice. That was a great video. I still wanna watch the Sky dude. I don't remember his name. He talked like 1 hour and a half about the cinematic. But I'm gonna watch that tomorrow. This one very good.